Let's get back live to ABC 13 reporter TJ Parker.
Yeah, this is a big local tie. TJ, you confirmed a man originally from Houston is missing in that Surfside, Florida building collapse.
Yeah, we just talked to family on the ground in Florida who tell us Manny LaFont is one that is missing from that collapse. He went to Sharpstown High School. Let's pull up these pictures that his friend and former classmate Sam Olivares sent to us. This is from a class reunion. Family tell us that he was born and raised here in Houston. So obviously when I was talking to the family, they were upset, especially after hearing the latest briefing there. But as of right now, we still know that 159 people are unaccounted for in that building collapse. And the family of Manny and his friends as well, who we spoke with, are still waiting for some news about him.
We were just schoolmates. We also would, since he's in Miami, we would go do our Sharpstown reunions. And I did a lot of traveling for business, so we did a lot of school districts around that area. So every time I would fly into that area, I would reach out to two Sharpstown alumni, which were Manny LaFont and Scott Davis. And I couldn't get a hold of Manny much because he was always busy. But the other person that told me about this information was Scott Davis, and I would meet up with him. We'd go out in his boat, and he would give me free Disney tickets too. So those are the two Sharpstown alumni that I know that still lives out there in Florida.
But you could call him a friend, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I think for you, just walk us through. I guess the hard part of the interview is walk us through when you realized there was a problem or that Manny was involved in that awful collapse of the condo at Surfside.
So, of course, social media from Scott Davis, he posted, when I did see the news before that building collapsed, and then a few hours later, I saw on social media from one of our Sharpstown alumni, Scott Davis, he posted that we think this is one of Manny's, where he lives, that might be his building. So then we all got concerned. All the Sharpstown alumni started chiming in and saying our prayers, hoping, reaching out to his ex-wife and hoping the best for his kids, his two kids. So then we just, like today, she just posted something, on social media, just trying to please and plead to everybody to please send prayers to him. So we're supposed to be meeting tonight, all our Sharpstown alumni, class 85, and some other Sharpstown alumni to meet at a certain place to actually just comfort each other basically through this.
And then when you piece, I guess, the two together, seeing the awful collapse and then knowing that you knew someone that lives in that building and was possibly home, what goes through your mind thinking of that, seeing those images?
I was just talking to my friend Scott on the phone. We just sat there in silence. There was no words we couldn't come up with this tragic event, especially somebody that you know and who have kids and out there waiting to hear about their dad. It's just overwhelming. I mean, I can imagine what those people in those buildings went through. Hopefully they didn't feel anything at that. It was quick, and we're just hoping none of them are suffering at this time. So, and hope that they will find them quickly so that they can get whatever medical care that they need.
And then for you, I think the hardest question that I could ask is, are you hopeful that he's somewhere buried in an air pocket, or do you fear the worst?
I'm keeping that faith, but also in the back end, fearing for the worst and trying to cope with that with our other Sharpstown alumni. But yeah, it's just, like I said, there's no words to explain right now because I guess everybody's in shock especially it's one of your friends. Like if it's one of your friends, you don't know what to say to anybody about the situation.
Yeah, for sure. And then just to end it on a positive note, what kind of person is Manny? Jokester? Is he kind of a chill guy? Yeah. What is his personality? I guess if somebody were to be
you hit the spot on. Jokester. Even at the reunions, everybody would congregate around him because he was fun to be around with. He was a go happy kind of guy, and everybody would like to be around him. Manny was that type of guy. It's just hard to grasp what's happening right now to that family. And we pray that they get through this terrible time that they have.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that sentiment.
Yeah, and that's why we're having that little group gathering tonight, just to comfort each other, here in Houston, to send those thoughts and prayers their way to Miami.
When was the last time you saw him or spoke to him?
Well, last time I spoke to him was when we did my last school. We did some schools around there. I called him and he said, "Hey, if I have time, I'll meet up with you guys." But never got to meet me. That was probably, I would say, about 3 or 4 years ago. So, like I said,
Yeah, Manny LaFont was part of class of 1985, and in fact, some of his classmates and longtime friends came together yesterday and they were swapping stories, and that's when they found out that Manny's body had been found. Now, all the family and friends that I've talked to say that they're struggling to come to terms with everything.
you kind of feel helpless, and plus you feel numb after you get that news. It's just numb. There's no words. Like right now, I'm trying to think of words, but there's not. You're just numb right now.
Family and friends who once had hope for a miracle are now grieving the loss of a Sharpstown High School alum, Manny LaFont.
He's got a lot of Sharpstown family members here, that Sharpstown High School family members that love him and are grieving with his family as well.
LaFont and a family friend who were both from Houston were in his high-rise condo in Florida when it partially collapsed. Miami-Dade police identified LaFont late Saturday night as the search continues to find the family friend who is one of more than 150 people still unaccounted for. Sam Olivares says he's known LaFont since middle school. Today, he talked to me about the void that they now have in their friend circle as he sits surrounded by memorabilia in honor of LaFont, including representing his Cuban heritage and love for baseball.
Again, it's just hard to explain, and it's hard, it's just overwhelming. And especially just thinking about his two kids, and, they're out with the father now. So I know he was always interacting with them with baseball, whatever activities they had. He was a good father that always was there for them.
Now, officials in Florida are providing an update right now. Of course, we'll bring you the latest, but I was told by all the friends that I talked to that they're expecting for more people to be identified later this evening.
Many of the relatives of the missing are gathering not far from the disaster, waiting for any word about their loved ones, increasingly hoping for a miracle. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is there.
Tonight, the relatives of those still unaccounted for given the opportunity to visit the scene of that deadly condo collapse. Buses under police escort transporting them from the Family Reunification Center today. Families were asked for DNA samples to help identify those found in the rubble and unique characteristics for the missing, like tattoos and scars. Authorities say they're working hard to keep grief-stricken relatives informed. With many of the victims from across the world, others arriving to help. The Israeli army traveling to Florida to aid in search efforts. Leo Soto's friends, Nikki Langsfeld and her fiancé Louis Sadovnik, were on the 8th floor.
There's always hope that the Miami rescue team can pull a miracle and get some survivors out of there.
Valerie Monasharova's newlywed brother Russell and sister-in-law Nicole Duran had just moved into their 7th floor apartment.
Is he in the hospital? Is he in the rubble? They just don't know. We just want to know already.
But for the family of Manny LaFont, grim news after police said his body had been identified.
The best father that you can ever imagine. This guy was so into my kids.
Stephanie Ramos joins us now. She has been there for days at the reunification site with the families as they await word. What are officials saying about how they're keeping families in the loop?
Well,
Well, Lindsay, officials say they are really trying to comfort these families that have been here for 4 days waiting to hear about their loved ones, not only taking them to the site of the wreckage today, but also now holding regular briefings.
Remember this? Wait. The rock. And then you go. And then the freak. Okay?
I forgot that one. The crap, yeah, it's a crap. Is it a crap?
Whoa! Wait! The snake! Come on, Flacca! Go, Flacca! Go, Flacca! Whole train, baby! Whole train! Oh, no, ahora te voy a tirar el Soul Train. Negro así. ¡Tira flecha! Yo le decía tira flecha. Entonces, wait. 1978. There was a